Well, good morning, all, and welcome to Geo SCADA, designed for remote telemetry, an offering presented by Neal Systems, partner with Schneider Electric here in the Mid-Atlantic region of the United States. Now, there's nothing better than a nice little quiz to get everybody started off. So, if you'll turn your mobile device to kahoot.it. And once you're in at kahoot.it, then we're going to start the quiz here. So you're going to go on to kahoot.it. You're going to enter in this pin that you see here. And then your name is going to pull up at the bottom. Now, there will be a $50 gift card offered to the winner of the Kahoot. Steve Beadle, you're not allowed to participate.
Shame.
And once we feel like we have a quorum or we meet our 50 participant max, then we will get started on our Kahoot. Steve Beadle joins us from the UK, and his background is actually as the Distinguished Program Architect and Technical Director for this offering we're going to be talking about today called Geo SCADA, or as Steve refers to it, Geo SCADA. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got 9 participants joined so far. Let's see. Expecting maybe we'll get 1 or 2 more, but what we'll end up doing is we'll kick off here. Oh, okay. People are still joining. Is there anybody else who's having difficulties joining? Just raise your hand. Now we're going to have some softballs. We're also going to have some fun, exciting questions thrown in there. Okay, we're up to 11 here, and we're going to get started to 12. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started now. So if you weren't able to log on, I'm sorry, you can just watch the action play out. All right, so first question here is, which company originally developed Geo SCADA? You have CERT Controls, Leeds and Northrop, Schneider Electric, or Nike. And you are judged on not only the correct answer, but also the speed to answer too. Look at that. So it was CERT Controls. Thank you, SCADA Shane. What year did CERT Controls start developing Geo SCADA? You'll see this picture up here is actually Steve Beadle, a younger form of Steve Beadle, but it might give you a hint to the answer. Look at that.
40
guessed
BC.
1998 correctly, and thank you, Steve, for winning Sexiest Man of the Year alongside of Harrison Ford.
You're welcome.
All right, Bill is coming up. Take on SCADA Shane. All right, here's where we're getting a technical question. You have to redraw your mimics or your HMI screens if you're using Geo SCADA Mobile. This is the essentially app version of Geo SCADA that uses existing hosted databases accessed through a mobile architecture. Look at that, softball. I'm glad you guys got that correct. And no, you do not have to redraw your HMI screens for mobile. Bill, coming back up on. Thank you for taking out SCADA, Shane. All right, you've got an Excel sheet of config settings. You've got to get them into your Geo SCADA database. What is the simplest way to get them into your database? So you can just slam your keyboard against the monitor, hope that the data is transferred. You can hire an intern and just have them type away and click all those interfaces. You can send it all to ChatGPT, or you can write a Python script. Look at that. You can write a script in Python thanks to one of the latest features added to Geo SCADA. Looks like Bill is still in the lead here. Oh, looks like our one question got recycled. I think we didn't delete that.
Your batteries, make sure that
all right, hopefully you can all win this. Again, it's still the same answer as last time. I think we could skip it. Oh, maybe I didn't. Maybe I hit it too fast. So I'm sorry for those 4 people that didn't get it. All right. 6 to 7, what does TLS stand for? It's Teletype Limited Source, Telemetry Land Service, Transit Link Security, or Transport Layer Security. And that is Transport Layer Security. All right, so this is poll, open up to you. We'd like to just kind of poll the audience. If you had to add a feature to Geo SCADA, what would you add? What's your number one? And if you don't mind, just go ahead and typing that away, or if there's something that you've been looking for that there wasn't previously, we'd love to hear what you have to say on that. All right, so we got 3. There we go. We got updates to VVX, which is a virtual ViewX, better trending, and then we have free ham. Thank you. We might be able to provide that as a part of this offering today. All right, well, with that, let's take a look at the podium here. In 3rd place, we have Marcos. 2nd place, we have SCADA Shane. And in 1st place, we have Bill. Thank you, Bill. I'm also liking the propeller. Hopefully that propels you to great heights. We'll be in contact with you. I'll give it to SCADA Shane. No, SCADA Shane's not. I don't think he's authorized for the gift card either. All right. Well, I'm going to turn this back over to our distinguished guest, Steve Beadle.
You're so kind.
Steve, if you want to take it away.
I will, and thank you very much. Thank you very much for your welcome. You flatter me. So I'm going to give a presentation and demonstration all about our next launch of Geo SCADA, coming up fairly soon in a few months. Geo SCADA Expert 2025. And Mark said, well, you can see there he's sitting inside his sub, which are well known for robust but rather older technology within them. And so I thought I'd show a few pictures of some of my heritage. So this is one of our early circ controls telemetry systems, and our computers used to have magnetic core memory and paper tape, because our organization started in 1959 and was doing SCADA and telemetry for all that time. This is my generation when I first started in the 90s, and this is VAX VMS using the VAX windowing system. Here you can see a point configuration form. So yeah, some things don't change quite so much, except that we don't have the blue and green fields anymore. And there's a trend. And if you go older than that, then our systems used to be based on VT terminal screens, and then there's some more mimics and things back from the late 90s and early 2000s. So we've had a long history with our product range, and we've been going for over 20 years with Geo SCADA, although it's been through several changes of name. But I hope you'll agree that it's a sound heritage, and that we are building from strength to strength, adopting new technologies when they come, and keeping our eyes peeled for what is the next and best thing for yourselves, for our customers. So I am going to review the product, and as you see here, it is it's got some key features. It's used in critical utilities, water, oil and gas, power generation, particularly renewables, and it's a shrink wrap SCADA system that's integrated by a wide range of global organizations. And some of its unique features are the very close relationship we have with our Schneider electric range of outstations, of RTUs, also third-party devices, and the ability to manage, download, upload, complete configuration sync of the devices such as Scadapack, RealFlow, and Trio radios. And unusually for SCADA, we have built-in dual and triple redundancy. And we're very proud of the fact that Geo SCADA just keeps on running like the Duracell bunny. It has an architecture that lets you make configuration in real time. There's no recompilation. It even lets you upgrade the system without any downtime across redundant systems. And in a change a couple of years ago, we also allowed synchronization in both directions on upgraded and non-upgraded servers. So lots of built-in features and strong integration with Schneider electric devices and with Aviva software as well. And you'll see me mentioning that a bit later too. So integrations with Pi, Aviva Historian, Aviva Data Hub, now Aviva Connect, and also the Aviva security system called Aviva Identity Management, so that you can have a single sign-on either just within Geo SCADA or within a combined Geo SCADA and Aviva system. And we are releasing new big versions roughly every year. Sometimes it takes a bit longer. And we did a minor version release in August last year, which included the latest features for the RTU roadmap. That was for RealFlow. And also we introduced the touch pan and zoom for our web solution, Virtual Vuex. And then a couple of items I want to draw your attention to specifically. And the first of those is that we've introduced a range of low-cost licenses for gateway systems. This is supported in the product and the licensing system. And there are 3 new part numbers for which you can order a sort of small to medium-sized system, and these systems have local client connections only and just a short 4-week historian. We call these gateway, other people might want to call them edge systems. They're a way of gathering data remotely, coalescing it together into a convenient store and available to local display, and then onward transition through all of our protocols up into a centralized system, which we would also hope would be Geo SCADA 2. And more on this later, and how you might be able to deploy it. And the other licensing change I wanted to point out is that we now have a new long-term demonstration license for a small system. So historically, we've offered a demonstration license that let you configure up to 1,000 points, and it will run for 2 hours and then stop, and you have to keep on restarting it. And what we thought was, let's encourage engineers and students to use Geo SCADA and leave it running long term, but for a tiny database. And so in the install option, you'll have an extra checkbox. And if you check this, then it installs a smaller demonstration database and will run indefinitely and is licensed for just 100 points. So with that, let me, that's a little information sheet about the gateway or edge server for providing the local HMI. We'll be making these slides available on PDF, won't we? thought you'd respond. You're supposed to nod, Bill. Okay. Right. So onto our roadmap, and I've shown this a number of times for the past couple of years as our directions of travel. It's still right, but what I think we're doing with this release is actually delivering on this promise, on this variety of features. So we are working on 3 key aspects of the SCADA is cloud. We are seeing an increased adoption of cloud systems with cloud, and a good example here is that Geo SCADA integrates with the Aviva Connect cloud and allows you to send all of your data, or a subset of your data, a chosen subset, for analytics through the Connect system. And that opens up all sorts of possibilities for web-based visualizations and also AI and machine learning. In the next strand for IoT, our vision has always been to ease the effort of connecting in devices and systems. And that's obviously really important when it comes to connecting in RTUs, to be able to suck the configuration from an RTU into SCADA and have it all set up for you. So we have the ability to read in Scadapack config and to create the points and devices automatically. And we can also do that for our protocols like Sparkplug, where you can automatically create all the points that have been published from an Internet of Things device. And on the security side, well, more on TLS later. And on the third aspect, engineering, we believe it's really important to integrate systems and allow them to be used without having to handle pesky files. That's hard to do and manage and maintain, particularly when you have lots of devices in the field. And that's why we've got that close relationship with Scadapack. But also to allow both engineering and users where applicable to extend the system, to script, to create mashups. And our scripting system has that ability, our programming interfaces have that ability, and we're delivering that big time in this next release with Python. And so I'll show you that shortly. So those are our 3 main themes, but I just wanted to bring up 2 other slides which highlight aspects of how our SCADA industry is moving and how we are meeting the challenges of that in Geo SCADA. And you may have heard of the term unified namespace. Sometimes it might be called asset hierarchy. It might be called a sort of a one-sized database or something like that. But what it actually means is that all of the business data has got a common naming scheme. That's a hierarchy which is then available to be used by different applications and services in the organization. We build a system that can report by exception, which is at the heart of Geo SCADA's a special secret sauce. And we allow publish subscribe into a data set by using brokers and by using software that can both publish and subscribe. And that's something that we're doing with Geo SCADA too. So UNS, a term that you'll be hearing more of. And also I've sort of sprinkled this one in as well. We've heard of infrastructure as code, networking as code. Well, how about SCADA as code? What about the ability to use code to configure a system, to extract from a system the code required to configure it, and to be able to use that to replicate, modify, reproduce systems in an automated way. And some of the power of this will come into generating automated systems for testing, automated systems for deployment. And so we are trying to follow up on that with our Python goals. So to be released, maybe July, maybe August, Geo SCADA Expert 2025. This sheet here is a summary of the features, but what I'll do is go into each one in detail, and also where possible, I'll give a little bit of a demonstration as well. So I'll be a bit technical. Please forgive me if that's not your thing, but bear with, and we'll come in and out of tech and back to context and so on. But the really important thing is that I've covered the bases for the variety of people that are here. And so please feel free in the chat window to type in any questions you like. I think you all have to be muted in this presentation, but type in your chats, and there will be some Q&A at the end as well.
Yeah, and actually, you do have the ability to come off mute if you think it's something that would benefit the rest of the group. So I'm throwing that out there to you as well.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, so let's look at the first feature that I'm going to talk about, and we're going to start with the big guns, and that is an MQTT Sparkplug publisher built into Geo SCADA. And so what this does is allow a data system to be replicated from tier to tier in Geo SCADA, and that, for example, gives you the power. Ooh, I do apologize there. I'm just trying to click on the correct window. Give me just a moment. There. So what we have is a Sparkplug protocol handler that can both push data out of a system like Geo SCADA through the broker and be received by the system in the next tier up. But not only is it a data throughput system, it allows control with obviously permissions and configuration, so that you could use this as an example for Geo SCADA to be part of the plant in a lower tier, and then for that data to be replicated to the upper tier, and then you have both a copy of the data and the configuration of points and the ability to execute controls and commands from the central system down into each individual Geo SCADA target system. Let me give a brief demonstration of this. I'm just going to log in. So this is a Geo SCADA server. It's actually a pair of servers. They're both running here, and each server has got its own database of points. So let's call this the lower tier, and this is the upper tier. And I have configured a Sparkplug publisher object, which is basically this item here. Ooh, excuse me, I will just give me one moment while I just log in again. This is just a small finger fumble. And so the Sparkplug publisher object consists of a series of properties that are pointing to a specific set of folders within this system called local. So I'm pointing to the example projects, which is this folder here in my source system. And that group of folders, together with all of its points. So if I just open up one of the folders and look for a point in here, so that's, for example, a point here, then this point has got in its historic folder a historic export, the Sparkplug publisher. And actually I can then go and look in the target system up here and look in example projects and electricity, generation, whatever. And this point here has been created and is a replica of the same point from down here, which is this one, which is a historic data point that I've selected for export. So in the source system, you can see a historic list of points. The latest value is 60,000. And if I go and look the target system and display the list, we can see, I'll pick the right one, total energy usage. I think I have. Oh, I might have stopped it for a moment. Now, one of the unique features of this is the ability to configure items automatically. So if I create a new point within this folder called example projects, let's just shrink that down and create a brand new point here. Let's say it's a DNP3, or it could be an internal analog point, and set it to be stored in history. You see it's automatically connected to our Sparkplug publisher. And then if we set a value, then not only will the value go across, but also the point and the point's configuration. So that will appear in here in a few minutes. I probably don't have time to wait, but there's a scan going on. And it will appear here not only with the values, but it will also have the configured properties such as the under range and over range and so on, if you've chosen to export those properties. So it could even include the alarm limits, the units names, the digital state names, and other properties of the point. And the target will therefore create all of this. So I haven't had to recreate all of these folders. These have been created automatically, and you'll see that they are Sparkplug points that are connected to the broker. We've implemented it in such a way that that folder structure is replicated. And if you were to take a mimic display from here and copy it to the upper tier, then all of the referencing will work automatically, so the mimic display will work. So that means that you've only had to configure your mimics once down at this level and copy them up here, or even at vice versa at the top level. And so that will reduce the amount of configuration effort needed. And even if you have crosslinks, so that you've declared, for example, a point with an alarm mimic, then that referencing will also flow upwards in that configuration flow. So all of this can be used, for example, with the gateway or edge Geo SCADA license, where you have a basic system, smaller system down at this tier, which is fully replicating all of its points and historic data into your central system at the top level. Although you don't have to use it with the edge license, that's one way of building it in to an architecture. Okay, so that's the first major feature under our belts. Let's move on to number 2. And this is all about security, TLS, or transport layer security. Now, TLS is an IT standard as much as an OT standard. It's a way of encrypting and assuring the identity of connections passing data. Now, when you use your web browser to connect to a web server, your TLS connection is used so that you are guaranteed to be connected to Amazon or to Google or Microsoft, and not to someone impersonating them. But TLS for SCADA protocols could work both ways. So not only can it be used by the SCADA master or central system to confirm the identity of the RTU, it could be used the other way around as well. And in fact, this might be more of a stronger use case for the RTU to confirm the identity of the SCADA server, so that it accepts controls, software downloads, and other configuration only from the correct master station and not from any rogue master impersonating the master. In our implementation of TLS, we've made this happen for the three major SCADA protocols. That's Modbus, DNP3, and IEC 60870. Note that we already do TLS authentication for IEC 61850, that's the IED standard, for OPC UA, and for MQTT. So those are already covered. So this covers the rest, effectively, the rest of the bulk of SCADA protocols.
Steve, we did have a question come up. It was, does the use of TLS require the compatibility of an end device, i.e., could you implement this on an older PLC that doesn't have TLS?
No, I'm afraid not. You do need to have a device that supports it. Now, this is supported by a variety of Schneider electric devices, such as some of their PLCs. It's not yet supported by Scadapack, so we've jumped the gun a bit on that one, but it will be supported by Scadapack in the not too distant future. And so that's a feature that we're effectively ready for. For those people using TCP, it's called TLS, and for those people using UDP, which is the datagram protocol without guaranteed delivery, that's called DTLS. And so we support both of those. And of course, we support it in our client driver. That's our DNP3 driver for receiving data. And we also support it in our DNP3 server or slave driver, which emulates an RTU and provides data to an upwards system.
Steve, could you go back one slide?
Sure.
I wanted to highlight an interesting use case for the gateway server, in that a lot of our clients have pump stations or lift stations, or essentially gateway stations where they have an RTU and a local HMI. And so one of the kind of killer features of this could be running Geo SCADA on a local panel PC, building out your graphics mimics in that panel PC, and then syncing them with your central Geo SCADA database. And that way it kind of aligns your field HMIs with your central Geo SCADA system to kind of reduce the amount of configuration and increase the amount of control and configurability you have for each of the stations.
Yeah. Providing the HMI supports Windows 10 or Windows 11, then that's very good. In fact, Windows 10 and Windows 11 IoT Enterprise are also compatible. So you'll often find those IoT Enterprise editions on an industrial PC. They're a bit, they're very much like the desktop versions of Windows 10 and 11, except they've not got the games and adverts. Okay, just a couple of other points on the TLS in SCADA protocols. Managing the certificates is always going to be the challenge for this, because you have got to regularly issue a new certificate because they expire. And so Geo SCADA has built in some management tools to enable you to do that. So there's a lovely list certificates tool that will list all the certificates and their details and where they're linked to, and the servers and clients that they're relevant to. And also you'll get the expiry dates in that as well. So you could use that to view and even automate alarms to let you know that certificates are coming up for expiry and need refreshing, either on your remote device or within the device configuration in Geo SCADA. Okay, I don't really have an easy available demonstration for you for TLS, but you can see here that there is a new, if I look at security, there's the SSL certificate and key objects, and they have import facilities to import the certificate. You can even export the certificate as well. And in the outstation configuration, if you look at the network config, then you can see this is where to configure the certificates for the client and for the trusted server, which is the certificate. So just as easy to use as the rest of Geo SCADA, but the generation of certificates is the bit that has to be done at the moment outside. Okay, moving on to the next feature, which is the integration of Python. Now, Python is a language that's been around for quite some time, but it has really gained in popularity relatively recently. It's being used for all sorts of applications, but it is particularly the language of integration and machine learning and artificial intelligence. So it's now gained critical mass. We've done two things for Geo SCADA to integrate Python. And the first thing you can do is you can use Python to edit and run programs. So a bit like a logic program, you can create a new Python program, attach it to a point so that when the point updates, the Python program runs, or attach it to a schedule, or even ad hoc so that when an operator might click a button on a window. Of course, you need configuration privileges to run, and they run in a separate sandbox, so they're not in the memory space of the database server. They're held at arm's length, and they also run within a configured user context, so they get given particular set of user privileges, which we recommend obviously to be the minimum privileges needed for that program to run. So for example, if it's just reading data, then it will only need read privileges. If it has or needs the function to write to a specific object, then you could attach a user with just that specific privilege, which is obviously a recommended way of running this. And there's a nice editor for Python built into Vuex, and that will enable you to look for, it does syntax highlighting and autocomplete and nice things like that. So that's the main thing that we've done is to add the Python design and runtime environment within Geo SCADA. But by far the bigger task for us was to add a programming interface, an API that lets Python do things with Geo SCADA. Read the database, read history, modify configuration, add configuration, import configuration, read it from a spreadsheet, squirt it into Geo SCADA, analyze history, write data forecasts, write history back, update alarms, all sorts of things are possible. And so we're imagining that our customers are going to use this for applications on the engineering side. So for example, to generate a system config, and on the operations side in extending the analytics and data capabilities of SCADA. And the API is an independent thing, and it can be used remotely Obviously, it still needs security, it still needs a user account, but you can use Python on a different server, a different PC. It could be used in the IT environment to access a permanent standby server. It could be run on a Windows PC, and it could be run on a Linux PC as well. So there's a huge amount of flexibility that we've provided with the Python API. Let me give you a little bit of a demonstration. Let's press the right buttons, and that is this item here. And in this demonstration, I have an example program. I've got this example program here, which is called Create Weather Points. If I edit the program, I won't go into this in detail, but what it does is it creates a group called Python samples, or called Python samples.weatherpoints. And when it's run, here is that group that it's created. It creates a point called temperature. And we look there, there's the point. It sets the properties, the units, the full scale and zero scale. So if I open the point, you can see full scale and zero scale have been set, and the units has been set as well. And we also set the location of that point geographically, and we create a forecast object. So that program there modifies configuration. Now, I've got another program here called Get Weather Forecast, with no prizes for working out what this does. And I think I disappeared for a moment, but I'm back now, hopefully. And it connects to Open Weather Map and gets the current temperature geographic location. It also gets a weather forecast, and it puts that historic data as a forecast into a Geo SCADA forecast object. I'm going to display a mimic that I've created, which enables me to run that. And I click the run button, and it's now going out onto the internet. And if this works, it will import a new forecast, and it's also got some data. And I can now select the forecast and display my forecast trend. So this is data that I've only just received, and this is the weather forecast for temperature. But equally, you can access from that particular weather system, you can get wind speed and direction and precipitation and so on. So really this sort of whets your appetite as to what you might do. Yes, this is connecting to an internet-based service, so this might not be applicable to the SCADA system itself, but it might connect to a company system, a company server, in order to retrieve data. It might connect through some kind of proxy or other database. It might connect to a database itself, like SQL or Oracle and so on, and bring in data or put data out. So yes, it's a bit of a taster as to the things that you might want to do with Python. Excellent. Now I'm just going to move to another part of the feature that we've added. And this is a feature that is really a kind of a programmer's feature that enables integration with one of Aviva's flagship products. This is Aviva Operations Center, and Aviva Unified Operations Center is a unification system that brings together lots of subsystems, including SCADA, but also work management and escalation and incident management, connected worker, reporting, MES, and so on, into a single set of yoked screens. And what we've created for this release is a plug-in module that allows Geo SCADA to be displayed in context in Aviva UOC. Now, in order to demonstrate that, I've got a little video here, which is a little bit contrived, but this is a set of displays running entirely within Aviva UOC, also called OMI. And what it's showing is that you can click in various areas of the screen, and it will then cause other yoked displays to update. So clicking on this particular site has focused the alarm list to a specific set of alarms, and it's also focused the event list to a specific focused set of events. And of course, all of the operational facilities are still there because they're part of the Geo SCADA user interface. And the ability to freely navigate between different levels is provided, and that automatically changes the display context. And of course, there's a hierarchical navigation with breadcrumbs as well. But here you're only seeing Geo SCADA displays, so it's not really that useful. It doesn't really extend on what Vuex can do. But if you are integrating this with other systems from GIS to weather systems to ERP and workplace management and even other SCADA systems, then that's where the power of this comes in. That's the possibility. Right, so that's skip on now. And that brings me to the final major feature that we've added to Geo SCADA 2025. And firstly, this is to have completely redeveloped our Geo SCADA mobile facility from the ground up. We were using some older technology for the app, both on iOS and Android, and we had to start again, and we've created a new app with all the features of the old one, bar a couple of minor bits and bobs, but a bit more slick and smooth. And so I'm hoping when I show it to you that that will be nice to look at. However, the big difference here is that we've also added mimic graphics and trend displays with full interactivity, if that is what you're privileged to do. So not only do we have a new mobile app which comes with the Geo SCADA mobile server, you will also get the graphical displays. Now, we've also changed the license structure of this. It was a bit complicated before. There were different tiers and you had to get this or that before that or the other. Now it's very simple. There's a server which comes bundled with a few clients, and then there's a client bundle. So all you need to do is buy the server with some clients bundled in, and then if you want some more Android clients or iOS clients, you just buy the client license. Now, in an act of extraordinary bravery, I've decided to do a live online demonstration of this. This is probably going to turn out to be very foolish of me, but yeah, why not? So what I'm going to do is stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to switch to cameras, to switch to a different camera. And this camera is, and I'm going to spotlight this as well. Hopefully you can all see that. Is that visible, Mark? It's a bit of blackness at the moment.
Yes, it's visible, just not, the screen isn't on yet. There it is.
And here it is.
Is it a scone?
That's my login screen. I've just got to put my fingerprint in, and now I can you see that? Let me just increase the brightness and turn adaptive brightness on and turn that all the way up.
Beautiful. We can see it great, Steve.
Is that nice and clear now? Excellent. So let's go to Geo SCADA mobile here. And that will start up, and I can then pick which particular Geo SCADA server system I'm connecting to. And when I choose to connect, I'll have to enter my PIN number. And so you can all see this, I'm sure. Sorry for the red line across here. It's a rubber band holding the phone to a tripod. So I've entered my PIN number and it is connected to my server, and you can see the system icons in the same way that the previous app used to work. If I click on alarms, then we'll get an alarm list and we can scroll this up and down. If I select an item, it will show me some more details. I've got a context menu, and the context menu, if I'm privileged, will allow me to acknowledge with comment, view status, or display events. So this is very similar to how it used to work. Just going back to the main screen now, we also have the event list as before. And there's only one event list in the past hour, but you can change the filtering and change the time range. And we also have, as before, a set of what we call mobile displays, which is basically a list of site parameters. So for example, if I click on this display here, it's been configured to show an inflow value, an outflow value, and a wet well level. And if I click on this button here, then it will bring up a historic trend. Again, you've got the possibility of changing some of the parameters on the trend. Of course, if I turn the phones round into portrait mode, into landscape mode, it will automatically flip and show that landscape view too. Clicking back, so these pages or displays are fully configurable, but they're not really mimics. They're kind of swift text displays. At the bottom here, you've got user queries, and here you can configure SQL queries in the server side for display and viewing as a table on the client side, on this side. So if I open this, it's a rectangular table consisting of site names and colors and things like that, but that is completely configurable. So just clicking back again. So the configurable parts of this, if you like, are the displays and the user queries. And then if I want to keep coming back to any particular item as a user, then whenever I'm looking at any specific item, I can click the star favorites, the star button, and then it will be added to a favorites list. And then that list there lets me go more quickly to a specific item. On the menu here, I've got the ability to do a select database servers and change my credentials if needs be. And if I go into the database list, then that presents me a list of the folders in the hierarchy, just like you're viewing the Database Explorer, except that if I'm viewing this, then it's in more of a list format. So I can go into example projects and it will open that folder and give me the children there. And if I pick now on an object, so let me go into electricity and generation. So I'm picking that point that I picked earlier, and then factory, and then go to one of the points here, total energy usage. Then it will give me the current value, the full name, geographical position, alarm count, all the information about that point in a page. And again, I can click star and add this to my favorite list, just like that. So I'm now going to click back. In fact, let me click to go home, and that will take me to the home view, perhaps go back to database again. And now I'm going to have a go at displaying a mimic. So I've clicked on opening page, and this is now going to go into mimic view mode. I have a rather underpowered server in an inappropriate location, so forgive the slightly longer startup time of this, but once I'm in, that is good. So now I'm viewing my Geo SCADA pages, but of course my phone is vertical, and so I'm viewing the page which has been squeezed a bit to view it in that particular aspect ratio. Of course, if I turn the phone round, then it will enable me to see these displays in landscape, and of course the display will look a little prettier if I do that. But let me go instead to some project samples, and here what I've done is I've configured some special mimics for mobile that are more optimized for that kind of display. Now, you don't have to do that. You can just turn the phone round, whatever. So you don't have to, as asked on the quiz questions, redesign any mimics, but you might find yourself after a time creating some additional mimics that have been created specifically to take better advantage of the way that the mobile phone is used. So that's one particular example, and in fact, no, let me, I'll go back to that again. Let me go to, oh, I didn't mean to go there. Sorry about that. I knew I'd fumble this a bit. Oh yes, I wanted to go to the trend. That was what I wanted to do. So I clicked on a trend object. This again starts the viewer. And so note that once the viewer's running, I could freely go anywhere that I have the hyperlinks to go to. But if I come back to the tree, I can then go to any object and display the trend. In this particular case, I've got trend navigation, so I can use my fingers to zoom in. Now, you might not have seen that the time axis expanded when I used my fingers to zoom in there. Hopefully you could see that. And you can see that I can also use the forward and the back button in order to do navigation. So once I'm displaying a mimic, I could go from a mimic to a trend and then back to the mimic again. So let's go back to the project samples.
We did have a question, and it was, are you able to open a pop-up, for example, to start or stop a pump? And I wonder if you're about to demonstrate that now.
Yes, you can. Yes. So if I click here, then it will bring up a little menu that I've set up, and that top menu item is display faceplate. And what it will do is it will occupy the whole screen with that pop-up. And once I've done whatever I wanted to do with that, I could just click back there and go back to the parent mimic I was on. So that's
Thank you.
Good question. Thank you. Okay, well, I'm really pleased that that demonstration has come off well. So I'm going to give myself a pat on the back and have a special beer later. Right, so I'm just going to switch cameras back to me and then reshare my screen. So yeah, that was Geo SCADA Mobile. It's interesting that we have seen some customers use Virtual ViewX in the mobile, and while it does work, there are some navigation aspects that are a little bit difficult. And so we do hope that that Geo SCADA Mobile will help to fill that gap.
So at this time, it's about 10 o'clock. If you have more time, we've got more of Steve here, and we're going to continue on. But if you need to hop off, please feel free to do so. And I'm going to put some contact information here in the chat. Anything else you'd like to discuss or learn more about, please feel free to reach out to me, and we'll make sure you get that. So back over to you, Steve.
Well, thank you. Well, I only have a couple of other goodies to add. So these are 4 smaller features that we've sprinkled into the 2025 release that I hope will be useful. And the first of those is that you now have a spark line feature for trends. So when you're designing a mimic and you want a little squiggle next to a point to indicate whether a trend is going up or going down or staying normal or whatever, you've got that embedded trend sparkline capability. And it's really super easy to use. Ooh, excuse me while I log in again. And so this, I could drag this item trend. That's what I wanted to do, doing the wrong thing. Oh, I haven't created a trend. That's what I wanted to do. One moment while I do that. It will only take me a second. And so if I drag a trend onto Mimic as an embedded trend, it's got all of the features such as the key and the X and the Y axis. But if I edit the properties of the trend, then I've got a sparkline button here.
Just passed away.
Click that, and we've got the full trend with the traces displayed on the screen. Going back to the PowerPoint, we've also got the ability to view items in design mode that have been hidden, for which, if you're designing complex animations, is quite useful. In our database, we can now send emails directly through a method. And finally, there's a super nice resize to same feature in the paste facility, so that when you're designing mimics, you can make sure that all of your target items are all consistently sized. So this is my final slide, which is to explain that we're not going to stop there. We've got a full roadmap going out into the future, and the next product release will be an update to Geo SCADA 2025, and that has more features for Scadapack, such as the support of redundant RTUs. That's the Scadapack 47R. It has downloaded or sped up downloads for the Scadapack RTUs, and a couple of big changes in the client. We're adding JavaScript version 8, which is the Google JavaScript version, into client programming. So not only will you be able to support VBScript as now, but also a longer term transition to JavaScript, as eventually Microsoft will deprecate VBScript from Windows. And the final item here is that we're extending the capability of Vuex by releasing a 64-bit version. So this extends the memory, it extends the amount of displays that you can keep open, the number of tabs. It just means that people with more complex animations and complex displays can be coped with better by Vuex, and it won't run out of memory. And obviously there's a 2026 that's being planned too, but more of that another time. So thank you very much indeed for your patience and listening to me whittle on. It's 3 p.m. in the UK here now, so I'm sort of due a beer very soon, as it's Friday. But I wish you the very best of weekends, and it's been really great to be with you. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Steve, and to the team that joined us today. Please feel free to reach out to myself or Steve if you have any further questions or anything else you guys want to learn. Please don't forget to join us next week on Friday, the same time. We'll have James Redmond, also Distinguished Product Manager of the Scadapack, which was designed to work nicely with Geo SCADA. So thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoy the weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.